Hi there, Music 203 students. Dr. Schultz here. Hope you're doing well. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Neapolitan chord. And of course, please do make sure you read the chapter as well on the Neapolitan chord and also look at the notes that I have on Canvas. But let me just hit some of the highlights about the Neapolitan chord. And I also wanted to show you how the Neapolitan chord really is just a chromatic version of the two harmony in a minor key. All right, so first thing you should understand about the Neapolitan is that it's usually found in minor keys. It can be found in major keys as well, but is more common in minor. Now, the Neapolitan chord is usually found in first inversion, and that's why it's called the Neapolitan sixth. And it really is a major triad built on the lowered number 2 scale degree. Now, in my little drawing here, the arrow pointing down means lowered by a half step. So if you were in the key of C minor, for example, the normal 2 chord is spelled D, F, A flat, which is diminished. But if you flat scale degree 2 to D becomes D flat, you have D flat, F, A flat. And that's the spelling of the Neapolitan in C minor. A couple more things about the voice leading. You should always double the third of the chord when you have it for 4 parts. That's the bass, the third of the chord. Also, in the voice leading, make sure you look for the flat 2 scale degree. That's the one you want to be extra careful about. The flat 2 scale degree progresses to the leading tone in the same voice. Now, if it goes from Neapolitan to the 5 or the 5/7, you're going to have this flat 2 going to the leading tone, and you're actually going to see a diminished third interval in your voice leading, and we'll see that in a little bit. If the Neapolitan chord goes through 1/6/4, or 7 fully diminished 7/5 before it gets to 5, then the flat 2 scale degree will go flat 2 to scale degree 1 to the leading tone in the same voice. And again, we'll see that in some of the voice leading examples later. Now, in terms of what chords usually go before the Neapolitan, they're chords that normally precede the 2 chord in minor. So 1 and 4 and 6 usually come before the Neapolitan chord. And then chords that follow the Neapolitan, the real goal of the Neapolitan is to get to 5. It's a predominant type chord, as it is a variation or a chromatic version of the 2 harmony. The Neapolitan chord can either go directly to 5 or 5/7, or it can go through 1/6/4 before hitting 5 or 5/7 in a cadential kind of chord progression. Or sometimes the Neapolitan chord goes to 7 fully diminished 7/5 before it gets to 5. All right, here I'm going to show you how the Neapolitan chord is a chromatic version of the 2 chord in minor. So to show you that, I'm just going to take this chord progression in D minor. It goes 4, 2 diminished 6, 5/7, 1. And then I'm going to rewrite it so the 2 chord becomes a Neapolitan. And then I'll play it for you so you can hear the difference between the 2 of them. So in D minor, 4 is G, B flat, D. The 2 chord is E, G, and B flat. And the G is going to go in the bass. And remember, in a diminished chord in first inversion, you should double the bass. So there it is. Now, you also double the bass in the Neapolitan. So you'll see that nothing really changes in the voice leading except wherever the scale degree 2 is, which in the key of D is E, is going to be an E into the 2 chord, but an E flat in the Neapolitan chord. We'll keep the B flat, and then move this tone to the E. Okay, so there you have the 2 diminished chord. Now, when you voice lead it to 5, it is a little tricky. You got to watch out for parallels. G in the bass goes to A in the bass. Remember that you want to double the A. And then you can hold on to the G. And then this tone goes to the C sharp. Don't forget your leading tone. Now notice If you move this G to the A, you'd have a parallel octave with the bass. So that's why the B flat should go to the A. And you can't write the B flat to the C sharp because that's an augmented second. So the C sharp really has to come from here. And what it yields is an incomplete 5/7, right? You're missing the fifth. Okay, then when you resolve it, remember the seventh goes down by step. Seventh of the chord. We can go down here to the D. Keep the common tone. And then move this. Resolve the leading tone to the D. So you have two roots, 1/3, 1/5. Now, the only thing that changes for the Neapolitan is actually the scale degree 2 becoming E flat. So it's the same voice leading, but instead of E natural, you're going to use E flat. So look at the spelling in D minor. 2 is E, G, B flat diminished. Neapolitan is E flat, G, and B flat. And notice, again, the Neapolitan chord is built from the lowered number 2 scale degree. It makes a diminished chord into major. So it's a major triad, E flat, G, B flat, with a third in the bass. And remember, you want to double the third in the Neapolitan. Now, as soon as you have the Neapolitan chord voiced, look for the flat 2 scale degree. The goal of the flat 2 scale degree is to get to the leading tone. So if the chord progression goes right to 5 or 5/7, then you want to take that E flat directly to the C sharp in the key of D minor. If there is a chord in between the Neapolitan and the 5, such as 1/6/4 or 7 fully diminished 7/5, then this E flat would go E flat, D, C sharp. The D would be in the 1/6/4 or the 7 fully diminished 7/5. But it would still happen in the same voice. So you're either going to go E flat to C sharp directly or E flat, D, C sharp, depending on the chord progression. All right, I'm just going to fill in the rest of this really quickly. Same voice leading as before. The only difference is the E becomes an E flat. All right, and then I'm just going to play them for you so you can hear the difference. Here's D minor. Here's the first one. Okay, now here's the Neapolitan. Time, the difference between them. Here's the 2 diminished 6 chord. Here's a Neapolitan. All right, now we're going to take a look at some voice leading using the Neapolitan chord. These examples are adapted from your textbook, but they're a little bit different. So what I recommend is just pause the video and copy it down if you want to follow along. All right, E minor is the first one. Definitely want to spell the Neapolitan in that key. In E minor, scale degree 2 is F sharp. F natural is the lowered number 2. Right? F natural, A, and C. Notice it makes a diminished chord into a major chord. Well, you're going to put the A in the bass. And you want to double that A. And you can see if I move this B to the A, I won't have anywhere to move this B. So take this B to the other A. I also need a C in the chord, which you can write here. And the F natural here in the soprano. Now, the flat 2 scale degree can really be found in any voice, but in actual music, it's very common to find it in the soprano, the melody, the very top voice. Now, as soon as you have the flat 2 scale degree, make sure you take care of that one first in your voice leading. Here the flat 2 is going to go directly to the leading tone. Now it does create this unusual diminished third interval, but that's what you want. That's the distinct sound of the Neapolitan chord. Notice what it really does is surrounds the tonic note E by a half step above and a half step below. And that's going to be a very distinct sound when you hear the chord progression. So the flat 2 scale degree should go to the leading tone in the same voice. It either goes directly to it, in the case of this chord progression, or as we'll see later, it could actually go F natural E D sharp if there was a 1-6-4 or a 7 fully diminished 7 of 5 in between the Neapolitan and the 5 chord. But either way, you want to make sure that the flat 2 makes its way to the leading tone in the same voice. All right, B in the bass for this chord. This is a triad, so we need the F sharp and the B, E here, G, and B. All right, let's take a listen to it. You'll hear the Neapolitan has a very distinct sound. You can hear how the F natural and the D sharp surround the tonic. All right, the next example is in G minor. And here we have the 4 chord preceding the Neapolitan. And then after the Neapolitan, 1-6-4 to 5. And we'll see what's similar and what's different about this chord progression. Now in the key of G minor, 4 is C. So here's your 4 chord, C, E flat, G, and C. The Neapolitan, let's spell that next. Scale degree 2 in the key of G is A. Flat it becomes A flat. So the Neapolitan in this key is spelled A flat, C, and E flat. You'll put the C in the bass. Now when it comes to preceding the Neapolitan, going into it, really just want to keep as many common tones as possible. So let's keep the C's as common tones. We want to double that bass, remember, the third of the chord for the Neapolitan. We can also keep the E flat as a common tone. And then write the A flat here in the alto part. Now again, as soon as you have the lowered number 2 scale degree in the Neapolitan, I would always take care of that first in the voice leading before anything else. This flat 2 needs to go to the leading tone in the same voice. Now there's no leading tone in this chord, so it will go A flat, G, and then F sharp. Because you're in a minor key a lot of times for these Neapolitans, don't forget to mark in your leading tone. So if the chord progression were Neapolitan to 5, the A flat would go directly to the F sharp. But because we have the 1-6-4 in between, the Neapolitan tone, the flat 2, is going to go flat 2, scale degree 1, sharp 7. But notice it still goes there in the same voice. So take care of that first. Okay, 1-6-4 has a D in the bass. We also want to double that D, remember? And here's the B flat. So 6-4 chord, double the bass, the 5th, right? I'm going to drop this down an octave to give myself a little more space here. But then I'm going to keep the tenor. And we fall down by a step into the 5, remember? You can see that happening here from the 1-6-4 into the 5 chord. Okay, and then 1. And let's see, what if we want to go G in the top voice here? That might be a little more final sounding. Then that would lead us into this voice leading. Of course, you could have also taken this to the B flat, this to the G, and then kept the D. Okay, and let me play it for you as well. Here's G minor. Here's the chord progression. this chord progression, you can hear the A flat going like this. All right, this next one's in C minor, and the chord progression goes 4, Neapolitan, 6, and then the 7, fully diminished 7 of 5 to 5. Remember, that's one of the other options for chords that follow the Neapolitan. So chords that precede the Neapolitan, 1, 6, and 4. Chords that follow the Neapolitan, 5 or 5, 7. 1, 6, 4 to 5 or 5, 7. Or 7, fully diminished 7 of 5, going to 5 or 5, 7. Okay, the Neapolitan in C. Scale degree 2 is D, and the flat 2 is D flat. I want to put the F in the bass. Again, keep as many common tones as you can. Notice how it's set up nicely to keep those common tones. Now, you might spend a little bit of time looking at the spelling of this chord before you voice lead it. In C minor, 5 is G. Leading tone of G is F sharp. Again, take care of the flat 2 scale degree first in your voice leading. Here, the D flat should first go to the C on its way to the leading tone. Don't forget to mark it in because you're in a minor key, right? Be natural in the key of C minor. So take care of that first, get it out of the way. The bass of this chord is F sharp. And you can see we're missing the A and the E flat. So you can write the A here, E flat, like this. Now, one more thing. Notice we have an A flat in the key signature, so don't forget to mark in the A natural. A little tricky to spell. It's very chromatic when it's compared to this chord especially. A lot of times in the music, what the composer will do is pause on this chord with either res or some sort of arpeggiation of the Neapolitan before hitting this chord. And this chord really leads more towards here than this one leading to here. We'll see that in some of the musical examples from the chapter. All right, F sharp up to G. Remember the 7th of the chord goes down by step. And then we can double the G. All right, let me play this chord progression for you. Here's C minor. Of course, I would go to 1. Here, the D flat sounds like this. As I said, a lot of times in music, it will go something like this. Okay, the next one is in the key of F sharp minor, and we're going to see how the 6th chord can precede the Neapolitan. Remember how the Neapolitan takes the place of 2, so it's logical to have either 1 or 4 or 6 to precede the Neapolitan. This chord progression goes directly to 5-7. All right, F sharp minor, 6 is D, F sharp A. The scale degree 2 is G sharp, flat it, G natural. There is the spelling of the Neapolitan chord. You're going to put the B in the bass. And again, when you're going into the Neapolitan, just keep as many common tones as you can. Keep that D. We can write the G here and the B here. Don't forget to mark in the flat 2. In this case, it's a sharp going to a natural. And as always, make sure you take care of that lowered number 2 scale degree right away. In this case, it's going directly to the leading tone. Don't forget to mark it in. And again, notice that distinct diminished third interval, which is often expected in this chord progression. Okay, 5 is on C sharp. It's a 5/7 chord, so let's keep the 7th and double the root. We left out the 5th. This is what's called an incomplete 5/7, right? And then make sure you take care of the 7th of the chord, goes down. Leading tone resolves, an incomplete 5/7, right? And then we can keep the common tone. Root in the bass. All right, let's take a listen to this chord progression. Here's F sharp minor. So 6. Here's a Neapolitan. Here's a 5/7. And 1. And in the alto part, you can hear that G natural and the E sharp surrounding the tonic. All right, and here's a final voice leading example. This one is an F minor, and it goes 1 in first inversion, Neapolitan chord, 1/6/4, 5/4/2, 1/6. Now this is a variation on the standard 1/6/4, 5/7 cadential chord progression. In the key of F minor, Neapolitan is spelled on the flat 2, scale degree 2 is G, so G flat is a flat 2. There's a Neapolitan chord spelling in F minor. B flat goes in the bass. Now notice if you take this tone to the B flat and you take this one to the D flat, you'll have too much space between your tenor and alto. So let's take the alto to the other B flat and the tenor to the D flat. Then we can put the G flat in the soprano part. Okay, so there's the Neapolitan chord, G flat, B flat, D flat, double the third, the bass. As always, make sure you take care of the flat 2 scale degree. So here in this case, because we're going through the 1/6/4 on the way to 5, you're going to go scale degree 1 in the same voice on its way to the leading tone. Now you might recognize that the leading tone in the soprano here has to resolve up to the F in the last chord. Okay, 1/6/4, C in the bass. And we want 2 Cs. Double the bass of the 1/6/4, right? The 5th. And then here's the A flat. Okay, now normally you would just keep, if this was 5, you would just keep the Cs and then move this down to the G. But because this is 5/4/2, you're actually going to take scale degree 5 and move it down to scale degree 4, which is the 7th of that chord. So the voice leading looks very similar to 1/6/4 going to 5, but instead the 7th in the bass here. Okay, 7th in the bass goes down by step. Hold on to that C common tone. And here you double the anchor tone, which is the root of the chord. All right, and let's take a listen to this chord progression in F minor. And again, listen carefully for that flat 2. leading tone,